Hello, good evening. This is a VOD review that I want to record for main support and main supporting sort of the ideas behind it as per usual, and VOD reviewing some of our very own VODs that we have here at Feign Academy. So, um, just before we start, I wanted to sort of go over like what even is like a main support, right? So, as per usual, I like to classify, like I'll run through it again really quick. Hopefully I can put one of those cool YouTube like dividers that help whatchamacallit. What is it called? That help divide like the video into sections by time. I wanted to do that. So anyways, the difference between like some of the support heroes and what makes them different from one another usually is like usually you have your main healers and your main supports. So main healers, as the name implies, have a lot of healing capabilities and provide utility to their team with the sheer amount of healing that you can do. So this probably brings a couple names to mind, like your Baptistes, your Annas, your Moiras a lot of the time. I don't know, I forget every support hero now. But then there are your main supports. So main healers use their healing to get a lot of value in the fight. Main supports, generally when we're focused on healing, use their cooldowns to achieve healing and get value for their team. So a lot of things like whatchamacallit, Lucio with his boop and his speed amp is a really big one. Um, Mercy with res is a good one as well. Like basically just classifying like who really can do, who's the one in the relationship who either does more healing or uses cooldowns more. And a lot of the time the lines can be drawn pretty close in between each role, or depending which healing comps we're running. So let's pick a King's Row map, because King's Row is a map that we are familiar with. And you can see on the side here, I've got this neat little pen bar. So, or it's like epic pen. So I plan to be able
Now entering King's Row.
to draw on the screen and
Ready for
analyze.
battle.
Let's see if I can't do it already. Okay, so I have to control. Okay. So I just want to go over sort of the roles of a main support, and that is you, my friend, on Brig.
Attackers incoming in
So
30 seconds.
I've been playing Brig a lot recently. I've been learning sort of more of the main support style, and it's really cool to sort of learn new heroes for one. Getting off the comfort picks and learning more about Overwatch as a whole is always super good. Um, but yeah, whatchamacallit, I've been playing a lot of main support myself lately, so hopefully I can share some of my experience, and I do even have some VODs that I can go over um, of some good main support decision making and things like that. So let's see. I think he's just trying to do the ML7 thing,
5, 4, 3,
or
2.
just scout really quick. Okay, so let's look at our own team comp before we sort of deploy. So I think that the role of a main support is to keep your team on the same page, to keep your team informed of things. So this can be a lot of things. So I shot call a lot as a support in calling out flankers, calling out where are we going, so like asking, starting discussion pretty much. Where are we going? Um, so let's so let's pretend that we
1. Attackers incoming.
blah blah blah.
Defend
So
objective A.
we're more likely to go. Let's see, so we're red team, so we're more likely to go. Let's choose a thickness for this pen, if I can. We're probably gonna go here, and now we have a decision to make, like in a flowchart. We can either go around here into point, we can go here in left. We can do a lot of things. We can go up and around, which is super fun. We can go up through stairs in here, proceed here. as you can see, there's a lot of decisions to make. We can even rotate through hotel if we need to. So there is a lot of different ways to get around this point, bottom line being. So there are just so many ways and so many different playstyles. We haven't seen the enemy yet. I mean, we knew they have a Reinhardt now and an Ana. Um, but being able to sort of sift through the crazy misinformation and the crazy signals that you get that might not be totally right, like, oh, maybe they're running double hit scan or this or that. Like, basically, your main support job is keeping everybody super informed, starting discussion. So, I like to ask all the time in spawn and before fights, where are we going? Because that can, as you see here, that can mean a lot of things depending on what they're running. So, first of all, position calling and pathing is a really, really big part of shot calling for you, my friend. Draw a smile. Control Shift 6, I think is it? Control Shift 7, man, that's a stretch. Now let's see. Can I draw like super thick? Oh, I'm going. There we go, that's a little better. So, as we continue, so first, pathing is something that's very commonly, you can shot call really easily by just asking at the beginning of a fight, where are we headed? So now as a main support, we discussed sort of, especially on Brig, finding value in this Brig Ana pair by not so much by out healing the Ana, even though when you're brawling, she does a lot of big healing for you. You find a lot of value off of your cooldowns, so your armor packs, your whip shot, bash, and things like that. So yeah, I'm sure you know about Inspire, but I'll explain it just again if not. So Inspire for Brig has two charges on it. One is activated when you melee with your flail and you hit somebody, and the other is activated when you hit somebody with a whip shot. So keeping your Inspire up as often as you can is really, really key. Also, she has her own shield, which is really, really cool. So your job with all of this cool stuff. So you have armor packs to keep people alive with sustained healing. You have shield bash, you have whip shot, which is basically a lot of CC and moving people and sustained healing. So if there's one thing that Brig says to me, it says that she is wonderful, wonderful at shutting down flankers, like the Doomfist, like the Lucio. She's really good at also getting up in people's faces, but maintaining awareness. So not just keeping yourself informed, but or not just keeping your team informed, keeping yourself informed, which is less comms, more mental sort of structure, is really, really, really important as a main support because you got to keep your main healer or your flex support up and the rest of your team as much or as often as you can. So sort of requires a lot of reading the situation. So we're approaching choke. We see that there is a Lucio. I'll do it from your POV. Lucio, we saw the Reinhardt main. We see a Doomfist now. We could save Bash. Saving Bash is really, really important. Also, you can block Dynamite with your shield just by looking at it. A lot of the time, Brigitte's shield, though, is pretty finicky with how it blocks things, so be wary. So now the team fight is sort of advancing because we're getting to the part where, well, we're not here anymore. So we're not walking and pathing to the place. The team has sort of opened the door for us to enter point. But there are a couple of caveats. So we don't have all the information from our position. So what do we know and what should we call out? Well, we should have called, in the past, the pathing call to go here. We should also observe a couple of interesting things. So you can see that their Anas here, you can obviously see and feel that their Ashe is up top as well. You know right now that Doomfist has disappeared somewhere, but we don't know where, and we know that the tank line, we just killed their Rein, so X for him. The tank line is going to push back a little bit. So they've lost their front line. What does this mean? Well, especially for heroes like Lucio, Doomfist, and Ashe, this means off-angling and flanks we can expect safely. because we have both of our tanks up. These guys can push really, really, really hard onto the Sigma. It's going to be really hard, especially with a Mei, to contest a Rein Zarya as Sigma alone without your Reinhardt anymore. So we're going to rely. So how can they swing this fight? Is what you should be thinking about a lot of the ways, or a lot of the time. So this can be done by probably picking us off from distance from multiple angles, seeing as they have Ashe here, being able to put down fire from, like, let's just draw our sight lines here and just about here. Ana can see us as well there, and Doomfist can flank around and get our Ana very easily with the assistance of Lucio. So basically, you're looking at this point in the fight, your tanks have sort of done the job of taking care of Reinhardt and Mei. So you should just be watching the flank and making sure that no funny business happens there when you're not looking. So this means physically standing by your Ana and listening for any signs of anything. Now fortunately Kenny shuts down the flank, which is very good. And now we can continue advancing on them. Now this is still a tough situation, honestly, because their firepower of Ana and Ashe, that's who she is, I always forget, are still high ground, and there's still a Sigma on point. I don't really like pushing onto people unless they're truly, absolutely killable, and they have both supports up. So theoretically, they could speed Sigma out, they could do a number of things, but if we're not calling that we're on the Sigma or that we want him dead, well, the team should know. So another thing you can do on especially on Brig and CC heroes like her, is calling out target calling, so calling who you want dead. So I like the stun, I like the fact that you're able to get the kill on him. It worried me a little bit that we were walking so deep into these guys' sightlines, but it turned out okay. And now we can continue this sort of cleanup. But always, 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 always be ready. Try and save packs for it if you anticipate it. Be ready to peel for your flex support as often as you can. Because there are times when you either should be ready to peel or you should be pushing with your front line. But a lot of the times you can't be both, which is really unfortunate because you're in a different frame of mind. Make sense? So, again, something I do like to kill on the Lucio. It earns you some more ult charge, but that's something we could have watched out for. Not that it was much of a threat. So right now you are getting a little over eager. We need to wait. Brigida she has 250 health, so 200 health plus 50 armor, but she's not invincible. Far from it, in fact. So definitely try not to push up too much, and if you are going to, be sure to call where you're pushing up from, or how far you want to push up to. So again, this is a lot of keeping teams, or keeping your team on the same page, making sure we know, like, you're checking for flanks now. I don't really like checking for flanks out here because this is sort of an overextension. If you see your Ana is on cart, and, well, Tracer is currently taking the most easily accessed flank route, though she doesn't seem to care about our Ana much. So yeah, mostly Brig wants to, in general, stay towards the center of her team and be ready to peel for her Ana or her other flex support, or anybody really, at any time at all. So yeah, a lot of your main calls should be in terms of shutting down flankers. So like calling where are flankers, anticipating them, because if anybody in this comp deals with them, it's you. McCree has other things to deal with, like potentially dueling Ashe, keeping the shooting shield, things like that. But you, well, you are the most equipped to help your support with other flankers. So anticipating where they're coming from. So here we could just draw a quick little map of where all the flankers can come from. So enemies, so the blue guys spawn from here, and well, they could go a lot of ways. They could either go all the way high ground and pop out through here, go a little further through there. They can most commonly, as we see, continue up through here, go on the flank here, and there's even a little annoying route over there. They can even push up all the way over here too. So just checking your flanks, and you can do this with your shield. Brigida's shield, kind of like Reinhardt's, is a third-person POV that you can look, or that you can use to look around corners and things like that. So let's continue. So right now, you're on the front line. Our Rein has died, which is unfortunate. We get fire struck, and that's the end of the fight pretty much. So how could we have prevented our death there? Well, mainly by calling, let's see. So we are taking some poke. Their comp is pretty good at poking us. Yeah, we're taking a lot of poke and we don't really need to be. So we're just sort of feeding them ult charge here. I don't really like this fight a lot. We should probably, like, I don't like the fact that this fight takes so long, and I'm sure you don't either. Because our Reinhardt is really, really, really low, and heals are on Cart getting flanked, so she can't pay attention anyway. So if anything, we should be calling, as soon as Cart gets contested or flanked, we should be playing slow. We should be backing up, not investing a lot of cooldowns. Because of this, and because Panda has to be dealing with the Tracer in the back, and the DPS can't be up front, well, we don't have that sort of structure anymore that's so easily maintained. So you, as a main support, have to say, hey, let's kind of back a little bit. I think we should back. Or at least go yourself and stop the flank. Only if possible. So let's see as we continue. So yeah, on main support, I tend to call a lot of things on support anyway, but calling positions. So we see now, after we broke the gate, that Ashe is top, and at least a few people are behind payload. What does this mean? So, let's see. What can we do with who we have now? Because we're down to DPS. This means, oh, and they are too. Cool. This means if we've been ult tracking, we should expect chatter and we should be mindful of a push from them or an ultimate commitment. So I think the easiest way to mitigate this sort of thing is by hugging the left side, since it's more free cover behind this bookstore corner for us. There's a potential flank route through the bookstore that you can use to stun if you're feeling funny. And it's easy to stall more here on the left side than it is to play the right side in more open space, especially into this Ashe when shields need to go down and swing. Basically, we should probably play left side and play very carefully right now because they have ultimates. So we choose to commit rally. When we rally, we should push. And before you rally, you should say stack on Brig, or stack on me. Probably just Brig though. Just that everybody knows to stack on Brig unconsciously, and it will give them armor. So we're getting fluxed. Rally into flux is pretty good. They're choosing to bob. I don't really like fighting the Reinhardt here because again we're up alone. And it's hard to see these things because here's what you see. So the fight is breaking out. We're swinging a million times over. But one thing we're not doing is shielding. And shielding is a really useful thing for you because it provides you with a third-person POV. You can swing around really quick, especially when you're getting bobbed in the air. That's my little position check. So let's see. If you were shielding, you could swing around and notice, like, usually it's easy to flux, especially, or in flux, to turn around and check where your team is. If they're not making these sort of positional call-outs. So they commit bob, they commit shatter, they commit flux, and that's a lot of ultimates, but we're still alive with rally. So what does this mean that we should do? We should probably either try and burn Bob as quick as we can, or just regroup, leave, and re-engage with our ultimates. So our team is sort of going for a soft reset here in the back, but they're leaving you guys to dry. see, so in this situation, we need mid-fight calls from our supports. We need to know, are we staying in or are we not out? And currently, because you're in, well, it's not really up to you to make that decision, is it? It's up to somebody in the back to evaluate the situation and say, hey, let's go in. So now we nano our Rhine, and all we need to do is swing and CC.
This is going to hurt.
So again, we should be watching for the Tracer, especially because she's back now in this team fight. Swinging is fun, but it's not as fun as bashing a Tracer skull in who really, really, really wants your everything. So I do like playing sort of middle of the team, making sure that everything's okay. There are a couple people who know people are on the flank. And what you're going for on Brig, it's not really, really useful to, let's do it like this. It's not very useful to try and go the same ground as Zarya, because she has bubble. Like, it's really, really easy for her to do anything anyway, or to get out if they're waiting to ambush her. So as Zarya goes to clear, let's see, let's get my right pen color back. As Zarya goes to clear this angle, I think you should be waiting down main with McCree so that you can at least land a whip shot. Whip shot puts them around like this sort of area, which is just easy pickings for your McCree, Ana, Mei, etc. But it also leaves you more in the center of your team, which is where you want to be in case you have to push with the front line. So let's clear all and continue. I'm getting used to this tool. So yeah, instead we do an inefficient full roundabout, which I guess is okay. I actually would have liked, again, to see you main because you could be helping out here. And your mere existence from behind them sort of, you can zone out the Ana and the Tracer really, really well from behind. Let's see. So our Rhine goes down because we were paying attention to the flank. That's really annoying. Still the flanks are going on, and right now we should be calling what's happening because we're down a main tank and we're down whatchamacallit, our DPS. So it's sort of like, okay, so, well, we're all the way out here. We're not with our team at all. So how can we sort of help this situation? And you kind of smell blood in this situation. The next time that this happens, always ask, is the fight winnable? Is it winnable? Can we still win this? Or something to that effect. Like, please, 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 please ask that. Because then we don't have the situation in which you get an awesome kill and you're building rally and stuff like that, but now you're staggered because the rest of your team couldn't engage because we're down numbers. This could have been avoided if we had asked, is it winnable? So we lose Splat. That's a really, really big loss because that's our main tank. We lose Kenny, which is a DPS. That's another big loss. So right now, it looks dim. I'm not gonna lie. They're down their Ana. But we should ask at this point, is it winnable? Because we can see that we still have 4 people pushed up pretty far, looking like they kind of want to commit. So if it is winnable, what should we do? We should push the front line with our friends here, and occasionally look back at this Tracer who's down this lane. Mostly putting pressure on the front line is our thing. But instead, our team sort of disengages. Not sure if they said anything or if we listened, but we're tunnel visioning the Sigma right now in the back. And it is a good pick, but it's too late. Now, fortunately, they can save you, which is really, really big. Your first priority should be getting around this wall, or shielding. I notice you don't shield a lot in neutral, which kind of freaks me out. This rally seems almost reactionary. Like, as soon as we got it, it was really sort of impulsive. It's better to plan your ultimates. Say, I'm coming up on rally, or I have rally in a sec, want to push or ready to push, and rally when we're ready to push. Because if your team isn't ready to push like right now, well, it's sort of just you leading the charge and everybody has to follow. Now we're sort of investing. I do like trying to zone the supports, but again, if you were shielding more, you could block the sleep dart. We boom him, let's see. And again, you're sort of in this weird little loop of a couple things. So checking on your flex support or checking on your other support, anticipating, like evaluating the fight. How many enemies do I see right now? Where are they? Is there a tracer behind us? Okay, if so, where can I expect her from? And sort of, and looking to boot people out of position and stuff like that. So we'll continue with this map, and then I'll show some of my VODs, and I can explain some of my decision making. So we stand out, we teabag in the open, we say hi. Blah blah blah. So this is a much easier situation for Brig to sort of handle because, well, there's only a number of flanks that they can do. If we press tab though, we would notice that flanking isn't really going to be their thing right now, or their strategy here, because they lost the Tracer and they got an Ashe, which means high ground. Which mostly means hugging corners and trying to pressure them with either whip shot or by shielding your team when they need it. Oof, that was scary. Okay. I didn't see that. What happened? So clearly we were pushed up. So they blizzard, and we choose to go into 3 of the people who we don't want to go into, and 4 and 5. So again, as Brig, you're looking to stand in the middle of your team. And when you're sort of in this state, like right now you don't see it, but well, now you do. You've pushed up too far, and now you die for it. So let's watch her in your POV. See that there's a Mei here, she just walled you off. This is really, really, really dangerous. This is really scary, actually. I don't like this at all. We shouldn't push Mei, especially alone on Brig. We call Mei right side, and let one of the DPS do it. Or just whip shot her and let that be the end of it. But you do not want to be isolated like this, because it is not fun to be picked off first in the fight when you could live. Exactly like that. We got booped and something else happened to us, and now our flank is uncontested. So yeah, what I would have liked to see is us maybe not even peek the Mei right side, maybe just stand here and be very, very wary of walls and try and go for a whip shot and then leave. Because we have to respect the Mei. Like, people have to respect Brig, but you have to respect the Mei, especially when she's not alone. Because if she's alone, we can commit on her and force her ice block and whatever and get you out of there really quick, but she's with Lucio. So she may not even have to ice block, and even if she uses it, she's going to have heals with her. So in those situations, you just have to be more aware and not be so bloodthirsty, I guess. I like this. Sigma can die if we push him, but I like the sort of patience and playing back. That said, again, you should play towards the middle of your team because Ana wants to play in the back. That's why she's your backline. You can block Shatter personally, but it doesn't block it for people behind you a lot of the time. So by shielding, I notice you don't shield a lot neutral, which is interesting. I feel like you don't shield unless you feel threatened, which I guess makes sense, but you can be using shield in the third person POV as an informational tool a lot of the time. A lot of the time. It's really, really useful. So let's see, going on. Do our thing. We should be looking at the Sigma high ground and trying to dislodge him from high ground, because this is really, really annoying. So Sigma loves the high ground, and I'm sure you know this. Sigma likes the high ground because Sigma is not good at backing up. So if you push Sigma, especially on a Rein Zarya comp, he feels really uncomfortable because he doesn't have any movement cooldowns. He has Grasp and he has his shield and Rock, and chances are he's going to rock either a bubble or a Rein shield, so not really good for him to get pushed. He likes the high ground because he can poke us from up here behind his shield and he doesn't take a lot of damage for it, which is really, really nice for him. It's kind of like his dream sort of scenario. So we should be focused, especially as the main support, on getting this guy out of here. And why as a main support? I say because if you were Lucio, you could come up here and boop him. You're Brig, you can bash and boop him. If you were Mercy, well, you just complain about it and boost one of your DPS to try and snuff him out. Or something like that. But he's got to go, because this Sigma is going to mess our day up. If we get walled, if we... A number of things could happen with this weird split style that they're playing, but he's got to go. That's step one. So I feel like, yeah, like right now they nanoed their Reinhardt, which is not good. Again, we're pushed up a bit too far forwards. I would have liked to see us, well, we also didn't really go in with a plan, but we should, for future reference, be planning like, hey, let's get Sig off high ground, or let's push Rein, or something. Because we can't get in these situations where we split so much as a team and die for it and lose time because of it mainly. So again, it's your job to keep people sort of on the same page. So where are we going? This is a great question to ask, because chances are, well, as you can see, Sigma's setting up high ground again. So where are we going? If we go down main, well, we could either go left side and try and go around the corner, I guess just push the payload. Go right side, contest main. We can even go far right side and try and flush out any people who are back here. We could also go around left side, go all the way up, and smack Sigma in the brain, removing him from our friendly high ground, which is really, really annoying. So just asking these questions can sort of force a discussion, and you'd like to do it, or you should do it when you're in spawn, to force a discussion for your team to decide on. But when we go in without a plan, like right now we're trying to, at the same time, poke out the enemy. We're starting as the Rhines will get closer to each other to try and win the Rhine v Rhine, and our Mei was just trying to get Sigma off high ground unsuccessfully. So I do like this idea of sort of forcing their hand with ultimates. We do overcommit a bit in my opinion, and again, more fight planning, which is something we don't do enough of. Starting that discussion, where are we going? What combos do we have? This sort of thing is really, really key to our general main supporting sort of strategy. So yeah, support's a crazy role, because you must have decent aim and big brain. We died. How? Let's see. So we were already dead. I think it was just to the Nano Rhine swinging on us or something like that. Or no. So it's probably Sigma who got us. Because again, he's on the high ground. This guy's got to go. So we get shattered and Sigma. Unlucky. This is the reason why he has to go. This is why we should try and push close left and get him off. Because we still have plenty of time. We have 54 seconds. That's a lot of time that we can spend to get the Sigma, the most problematic player who's farming Flux, a big, big, big ultimate into our comp, forcing him out of the position he wants to play in. So fortunately we win the Rhine v Rhine, they bob, which is annoying, blah blah blah. We're coming back. What should we be thinking about? So now there's no more flankers, so you have to sort of start thinking as how can I enable, oh that was close, how can I enable either our tank line or our DPS? And you can do that with stuns, target isolation. So like if Sigma continues to push up or be in this position, you can either push him back to his team and force him to respect you, or you can try and push him into the team. Some things like that. Let's see as we continue here. Get got. I don't think we should be running away here. There's no reason. You're not going to receive healing behind Ana.
10 seconds remaining.
As well, you could be pinning this or counter pinning or charging this pin to stop it. So I see that you wanted to go for it, but you weren't in position to do it, and I guess you die for it. Let Sigma had eyes on you. See it. Here, a lot of the time that you're not swinging, I think you should be shielding. That's just me. So that's a nice little whip shot. You're low, but you're not going to get healed because Ana's behind you. We should pop Rally here. So we should pop Rally as soon as we get it now, because we know that this is last fight. So we can hear the pressuring music come on, and our poor tank line is getting frozen. We need Rally. Rally also probably would have helped save you a little bit more and increase your survivability. You simply did not have the HP to go in, which is unlucky. Well, not unlucky, but something that could have been managed a little bit better. Oh, so close. Nice anti though. Oh no, that's so preventable. Oh, that is also preventable. I think we lose this one here though. Yeah, we do. Unlucky. So yeah, that's just some food for thought for you, I guess, on the main support role. So constantly evaluating the fight, evaluating the game. So I really recommend watching games and just trying to keep track of flankers, trying to keep track of thinking what does, like, are we getting pushed right now? Are we not getting pushed right now? Watching the game a lot really helps you on a main support, because computing these things in real time, running it through your brain, is really hard. It's very taxing, and it's the reason why I rely on caffeine a lot of the time to help me get through that stuff. But it doesn't have to be if you sort of, it's kind of like chess. If you know the gambits that they're going to run or where they're going to put their pieces, you know where and how to counter them, or how to best cope with them at least. So I don't know that I had a really good pop-off. These are saved matches from a scrimmage that my team runs. Let's do our King's Row. I think I was back for this one though, so yeah, I was unlucky. And then he switched on a weird. Okay, so I do know I played Brig on Nepal, I think.
Traveling to Nepal. Ready for battle.
Oh, Havana for sure. Havana for sure. Havana is a map that I have a lot of trouble with on Brig, just because I like to push and I like to be aggressive, commanding my space, but I shouldn't be too aggressive. So, c'est moi on Brig, doing my thing. So blah blah blah, we're getting ready. I didn't.
Ready for battle.
Let's see. I wasn't actually too big a fan of this map as a main support thing.
Attackers incoming.
So our Reese is holding the corner, our Sig and our Widow are holding high ground with our Genji. Basically how this is going to go down is we're going to play this the old double shield way, or the way that we like to. So double shield has two sort of stages to it, and it's important to know, even as a main support or as a support in general, the people who hold the information are supports. So being sort of aware that there are two stages to, I never draw twos that way, that's weird. Two stages to how double shield works. And the first is poke. You can see it here. They have to push the cart here. We want to stop them, but we don't want to stop them that bad because their spawn is literally over there. So we are just holding our ground. We're here, they're here, and just poking, looking for a pick. However, when the two front lines converge on each other, so they will continue pushing and pushing and pushing, then it will devolve into a brawl. And your tanks can call the poke phase really well, but you, as Brigitte, can call the brawl phase really well, because that's exactly what you look, or what you're looking for a lot of the time. Unfortunately here, I think we yielded them a bit. We let them get a bit too comfortable with their off angles and things like that. So you can see me watching right side, because I heard they have a Genji, or I know they have a Genji because it's just the meta. So yeah, I'm using my shield to peek around at my healers, trying to get an armor pack on my Widow up there. Didn't work. Now here I'm pushing in to body block their Genji out of here from my BAP. So I'm generating Inspire from my swings, I'm body blocking for not only him, but for me, and I'm taking the pressure off of him. Now we yield too much space because we're too weak with the Sigma on the off angle and just the Orisa here, so we could be very easily pushed. we just didn't rotate nearly fast enough. So their Sig is taking an off angle now. I'm still trying to just control a little bit of this flank. They're going up for my Widow. I know that she's going to drop back left if she needs it. And Sig is on the left, who I want to pressure out and push back main. So I'm rotating over to these left pillars. Trying to shield. My shield is gone, so I have to try and run. And again, I have this thing where I stay too out of position, I think. Like awkward stretches where I'm not shielding and I'm not doing anything else. See, another thing you can do is challenge Sigma by bashing him when he's using his hands, and that will disable, kind of like if you get CC'd in it anyway, it'll disable all the health regen that he gets. I think I die here. Because I get pulled, I have like almost no shield, and we're just getting walked on, unfortunately. I want this to be beneficial for main support sort of things. Let's see. What can I do? This wasn't really our best match at all. I don't like it. So I'll go over a map where I did main support, or I did do my main support things very well, and we actually had success because we had more players who weren't ringers. Anyway, enough Johning. So this map here. I'm on Lucio instead of Brig. Lucio differs from Brig in a lot of ways, but mostly that he has speed and his AoE healing is a little bit weaker. So this means a lot more decision making, a lot more, or a lot less sort of, like when you see Brig, like, do you really want to fight her? Probably not. If you see Lucio, you could probably take him. So he doesn't command space as well as Brig does, but he does control it pretty decently. So we're going for the old sim strategy here. So we TP on the point, we have a Doomfist. They're doing the exact same thing, just with the Sigma. We have Rein Orisa, and they have Rein Sig. So all that really means for us is that we want to stay in one place more often, and we have pull combos for free, which is super good. And for them, they want to play really aggressive. Like Sigma and Rein are nice aggressive tanks who can take this. Now, even from the start, there's a good thought process going on here already. So I ask us, where are we going? We're doing the TP strat. We're automatically sort of doing that, so it's almost redundant to ask with the Symmetra. But I'm not amping out of spawn. You can see I still have amp. Their enemy amps speed out of spawn so they can go quicker. So inevitably, they get their teleporter up first. However, I've saved my amp so that I can, well, they're already here, so I kind of freak out. But I have the ability to amp health so that my team doesn't get immediately deleted. So you can see that mainly my Symmetra here got booped into this corner. It's sort of out of position. But she made it out thanks to the healing, not just from my BAP, but from my heal amp as well. I also now have more ult charge than the enemy Lucio because I'm just healing more. So here I'm contesting this left door so I can try and what's called marking this Doomfist, or putting pressure on him, taking some HP out of his bar so he feels less comfortable going for my backline. So BAP's also pretty good at being aggressive too, but on Lucio I take this responsibility in my own hands all of the time. My tanks need healing, so I am speeding them out and then healing them once they're past choke so they have natural cover. Oh my goodness, it's hard. Then I see Sigma. So I boop Sigma into the corner, and we're able to parse him really quickly. So parsing kind of like data, I guess. We're able to process him very, very quickly. So I shot call a lot in the mid fight because for my tanks, like, this is what they see. They see the enemy in front of them, and they see a low HP bar. It's like, it's hard for them to be aware of everything at once, you know? They are our front line. But for me, well, I have a lot of vision of the fight because I'm the backline. So I feed this information to my team. So not only where are enemies, so like I called like Doomfist left here and Sig in Sig, like calling targets. And I'm going just outside for a quick little boop play. was gonna try and shut down the Lucio, but we already got it. So now what do we have to worry about? We have to worry about where we're gonna set up, any swaps of theirs, and things like that. So what ults are we close to? Did they use anything? So yeah, I'm watching from above while riding up top just so I can make sure that they're not coming out main or from any other direction that I can't see. So they're setting up far, far left, which means for me, just slide down, do my thing. Now I hear Pharaoh rockets, so I tell my team, I forgot to press tab honestly. So I didn't press tab in the last fight because I didn't really need to know what ults we were super close to. I saw everybody, so I know roughly about where we are. Like, nobody's gonna get their ult except for Baptiste quickly, or that quickly in first fight. So I hear Pharaoh rockets, I tell my team pharmacy out by coast, then we can start diverting our attention. I almost die. So this is kind of crazy. I'm getting my beat soon, and I know that the situation is getting tense, because these four bad boys, well, they really, oh, this is a weird camera angle. This is really hard. Yeah, this is a difficult little thing to do. But basically, their four teams, or there's a four stack here, really wants to. They can either push in if they want to, or they can save up for ultimates like window or pull and go for a pull flux or something. We just used our lamp, which is really devastating. Also, yeah, the pharmacy wants to apply constant pressure onto us from out here. Because the best people to fight this pharmacy are Baptiste and then me, which is annoying because we don't have any hit scan on our team except for me and Baptiste. Well, I'm not hit scan, but you know what I mean. I'm a person who can contest the Pharah, so I unfortunately have to do it. So I say, okay, so we just lamped and we're doing okay. We're windowing them right now. So because we just windowed them, or we called to, I can contest the pharmacy for just a second. So now I'm back to trying to heal my team. Mark the Doomfist again. I try to beat sooner. It doesn't work, but I get the beat off with 18 health. Oh my gosh. So yeah, a lot of this is just knowing where I can find the most value, where I can help the most. So I know where my team is. I know where my backline is. I know exactly what our front line, or about exactly what our front line is doing at any given moment, because we're Ryan Risa. How far can we really move, you know? And I'm trying to be mindful of and contest the Pharah in the back. So I decide I should head in, not take too much spam. I have beats, marking him, and I try to save us, but it doesn't really work. Decide we're not going out without a fight, and I try to keep on brawling, but ultimately it fails and it doesn't work. In hindsight, I should have actually moved to the point to try and contest it for more, even though I would have died maybe quicker. Maybe quicker. Sigma hit some nasty directs. So this is really bad on my part this next life. Trying to ask us, where are we going? Because, well, the exact situation that I don't want to happen happens. Which is, we will push in from these doors, or one of these doors, and then they're just going to window and just destroy us with really their focused sort of beams. And Pharmacy just finds us from almost anywhere where they can see. They're like the sun. So I do a dumb thing and I accidentally walk into the line of sight of the window because I didn't know where it was. Yeah, you can see him being mindful of my backline, trying to heal my Kree who's contesting the Pharah. And I peek the window for just 1 second and I get boosted rocketed, which one-shot me. That really sucks. But oh well. So we're even right now. I don't know if my team thinks it's winnable, but I'm reminding them to be very careful of the pharmacy. Here's a little rollout you can do. So make it back nice and quick. We actually won the fight, so my team is pretty good. They just continue pressuring people out in the back. So now what? So obviously, it's not really time to put my mind at ease. It's time to put my wrist at ease because I don't have to shoot at anybody, I guess. But we should be thinking to ourselves, what combos do we have? What does the enemy team probably have? Well, they probably have Barrage. They probably almost always have Barrage. In fact, it's really annoying. Because they're running an Orisa now, they have probably Pole Barrage, and they lived for a really long time on the Orisa, so they probably are close to Bongo as well. Not really too sure about the Sigma. Trying not to look at the old charge bars. But if you look at ours, finally, well, what combos do we have? And think outside the box, because sometimes our ultimates, or how we use our ultimates, can be sort of different. Well, the only one that we have is Window. So this means that we can pull Window, which is super happy. Look, it's like a little smiley face. Now with pupils and eyebrows. Now he's sort of dismayed. In any case, so we have the pull window as a combo. What does this mean for me? Just keep my backline alive long enough for us to do it. And on second thought, our Arisa died that fight, so I'm just going to speed her back. So yeah, currently I'm studying really a lot of my microplay and understanding my own tendencies. Knowing where I should be is a really, really big thing for me. Because usually as a flex support, I'm used to aiming getting me out of these situations, but I can't rely on that as much here. So yeah, if you really want to look at your good microplay, or look at microplay in general, which is really good for you as a player, look for every time you use a cooldown. So I amp here because I know my team loses the fight out here against this 4-stack. They just have too much shield damage, and we have a Doomfist, and our Kree is looking out elsewhere. That's not something we really win against a Risa Sig. Like, everybody here has guns. We have a hammer and a guy with a boxing glove versus like a DJ, Baptiste, and like a Risa gun. So we don't win. Our shield doesn't win this fight very easily. So I speed them out so that we don't have to try and, or so that we can take as minimal poke damage as possible. Unfortunately, they insist on taking damage sometimes. So now I'm between checking whether I should try and check the pharmacy or whether I should heal my front line. These are my two decisions right now. It's like a Telltale game. Press square to heal my team, I guess, and press, what is it, triangle, circle to help my McCree. So because we window and we lamp again, I know that my Baptiste probably has everybody here. We're pretty survivable. So I know that we're in a good place for me to move in and try and check the Pharah, but not for too long. So again, amping heals for my McCree in case he takes a shot here, and I'm also trying to extend my aura in this window, so I can heal, well, I can try to heal people who are over here with my aura, and I can use it with my line of sight of the McCree as well. So McCree gets healed along with my team. Just weird positioning stuff. So, getting close to our ults. I beat to keep my team in the fight. Our McCree makes a massive high noon play. He got booped off and then he high nooned them in the air. So I'm just checking to make sure nobody else is here. And finally, we can, because no Pharah's here, just out-aggress them with our Rhyme. And we win the match, which is really nice. So a lot of that, or good takeaways from that, or the fact that I am constantly looking to position myself in the right place at the right time. Because that is the difference maker in a lot of fights. If I am out too far, or if I am not with my team, well, chances are I'm doing something that's really, really pressing to me. Like trying to shut down a flank, or trying to move somebody in and out of position as Lucio. So blah 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 blah, do my thing. Here's a nice little Lucio roulette do, but I cut it short because I realized that, well, our Ana needs to go white room. So we call to go white room because I asked in spawn, where are we going? So we're heading white room. I'm just taking my Ana there faster. She can get ult charge faster and we can charge our blade, which is our win condition, or one of our win conditions here. I see that they have a Brig out main, which freaks me out, and I panic amp because of her actually. There was really no need to amp, but it did give me some ult charge off of the ball. And now, the fight is sort of ironing out more. So you can see that, like, obviously things are getting a bit more obvious as to where, when, and how we're going, every one of us. So, I know that they are engaging from bridge now, or blue, so I'll use this. So what does this mean? This means that I can use my mobility to do a lot of things. So I could be doing a lot of things at once. So let's list them all. I could be peeling for my backline, for my Ana. I could be contesting the points, because you know how annoying it is when Lucios are wall riding on the walls of this point and then they go in and out of the windows. Like there's a window here and a window here. Then there are doors 1, 2, 3, and 1. That's really not a great diagram, but whatever. It's a great, it's like Lucio's playground. So I can go there and around the points. We'll just connect these two over here and over here. And I can also harass their backline over here. So this option I can only do if I foresee us winning this contesting sort of fight, or if nobody is currently forcing me to peel or pressuring my main heals. So it is an interesting sort of relationship that we have. So we're contesting the point right now. I'm just trying to, yeah, because I amped earlier, I couldn't amp to save my Winston here. And I think he got antied, not sure, it might have been their Winston, but it probably could have helped him if it was a speed amp too either. So I made an oopsie, which is annoying. So yeah. A lot of the time, especially when my Ana has a strong position like this in white room, I'm looking to not just heal amp people, but I'm looking to speed them back. Because if you're getting pushed here, where are you going to go? You're going to go back and try to go out of here, which is straight in my Ana's LOS, exactly where I want you to be. So she gets a lot of ult charge, and I get the utility of having sped and kept somebody alive. So now here comes a very main supporty thing. So thinking about all these things in the heat of the moment isn't really hard when you build up that sort of muscle memory of doing it. But I see that my Ana's white room finally, because I actually didn't really know that if she had rotated anywhere before, but I noticed that she's still there. Then I see a tracer from under me. So what does this mean? Well, I am a big believer in peel. Peel is wonderful, and it feels great when it happens to you, and I like that. I guess that's why I'm a support. But I can't contest, and I won't contest. I try not to let myself contest if I can't help my backline. So I can't help my front line if I can't help my backline. So I opt to turn around and boop the tracer. We actually kill her, which is really good. Then I go back to contesting. So you can sort of even break down main support gameplay into cycles like these, like watching the flank, watching the front line, like helping the back line, helping the front line. You can break them down into cycles like this. And I wanted to frag out, but I saw that my Ana was over here healing the team. So instead I stayed on point like a good boy until somebody else came to finish off the point. Then I could get some heals out here. So you'll notice a lot I let my Ana heal because she needs the ult charge so that we can nano blade. So one thing I do here is I offer myself, I guess, a little ult charge from the enemy team, heal off the damage that I take, and I shoot them. It's pretty standard. And now I'm scouting to see where they're headed. So yeah, now I see that they're headed white room. I check really quick for flankers. So let's look from above on this map. So let's take this off, and it's hard to see past this tower, but let's imagine that we can see through it. So where can they flank from? So our sort of being is, let me change to a finer pencil. Our sort of being is this area. This is the area that we somewhat own. But them, well, they're coming from spawn, so they're going here. They're headed white room, so they could push onto point from here and go around the inside of point. But they can also, because they have a tracer, go around the outside of point as well. So Tracer Genji can engage on the flanks from there, infiltrating sort of the space that we have, which is annoying. They can also take really, really far, whatchamacallit, they can also jump across here. So really, really far flanks to infiltrate and flank our backline. So this is their target. Or I guess I should denote it not with an X, but with a crosshair. So I know they're looking for my Ana, because this is a dive comp. Why wouldn't they look for my Ana, you know? So, knowing this, I try to be very, very mindful of checking the flanks. So I check the left flank, I'm just weakly checking the right flank and checking their progress, how far are they in rotation. Here they are hard engaging, so they're committing ultimates, setting the tempo by using cooldowns and ultimates fast first. So here I amp health first, and then I switch back to speed. That's sort of a hybrid amp. You can apply both effects really quickly if you amp one and then switch to the other. So amping that keeps me away from their Genji, and it prevents me from feeding ult charge and potentially dying. But I know that currently they haven't reached because their focus is over here towards point, they haven't reached my Ana, who is hiding really effectively. Now, at this point, we've traded one in the fight each. They've traded a healer, we've traded a DPS, so nanoblading is no longer a thing, unfortunately. My Winston is really low, so I'm asking my team, is this winnable? Do we want to stay in the fight? They answered yes, so I go for a beat. And my beats are kind of ugly this map, but it's because I did them unprompted. Sort of, I asked my team before I beat, if we want to stay in the fight, is it winnable? And then they say yes, and then I beat. So now my thing is, well, my backline is being contested, and I know that, so I can go on to contesting. But I know because we just beat, we have a big health advantage onto their weak team because they lost their Brig. They lost big AoE healing and peel for them. What does this mean for me? Well, I'm taking a little trip to their backline so I can harass the Ana. So I give her like a noogie really quick, and I'm able to escape. Help my Winston, and continue contesting point. So at this point, we still have point control. I just barely dodged that Genji thing. And things are getting a little scary for me just because it's like, I'm low health and I want to keep my Ana alive. So yeah, now just farming some ult charge, staying on heals. Yana wants to offer an exchange, I guess, to us. Now I see, yep, peeking again for the rotation. They're going white room, checking their progress. And now, well, where did they come from before? Well, both times they just ran straight onto the point and tried to infiltrate our space, like that. But they haven't tried flanking yet. So, knowing this, I boop the ball just to be annoying, and then I wall ride over to deep check the flanks. And fortunately I do. I find out that both Genji and Tracer are looking to blade our backline from here. So, again, thanks to Lucio momentum and wall riding, I can safely avoid the Genji blade. But now we're in an uh-oh stinky situation. A very uh-oh stinky situation. Because I don't have beat. There are 3 people here on my Ana. And while we're still contesting point right now, we are pressuring them out in white room really effectively. So this is scary. But we keep our wits about us in these situations. So they're now attacking my Ana. She is someone who I cannot have die if we want to stay in the team fight, if we have any chance, because my heals are not that good, unfortunately. So I say, I got you. And thankfully, our Ana plays is smart enough to be able to take out two of them here with me. And we completely mitigate a flank, not just by knowing it's coming, so I called like DPS left lane, DPS left, and then they started blading, then we retreated back to hut, or to dojo, and then we beat the tar out of them, which is really fun. Now here, I try to save my Winston, try to go for boops, doesn't work, just barely escape with my life. And yeah, I keep checking to make sure that my Ana doesn't go off of yellow, or off of blue, green, or yellow. Generally, like, making sure she's not critical or getting contested like she is now. So, I don't like this, actually, from our Ana, because she tried to wake up the ball too soon. She's used her entire kit on this ball, Sleep Dart and Nade, and that forces me, because I know that Genji's coming for her now, it forces my amp, and I just couldn't save her in that situation. So, I asked my team again, is this winnable? Can we stay in the fight? They say yes. So, here's another funny thing. Tracer pulse bombs and then steps in it. But mainly, I just isolate targets with boop. And we win the game with relative ease. So there's a lot of little things that are happening here that are parts that you can practice sort of individually. So sort of understanding the structure of like, okay, well, even from the very beginning, where are we going? They answer white room, or my Ana says white room. So I move her over here. She's got a good position. I'm free to contest. So blah 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 blah, doing Lucio things, jumping out the window. Hello, me. If she gets contested, I can speed back here and heal her. There's even a mini here, so I could do that even more effectively. And in the event that we are powered up or stronger and we can really hard push comfortably, and I evaluate that based on how many members we have alive and how healthy are we. So if we're looking good, then I can go over here and harass like whatever backline they have. And that goes for the opposite positions too. So when my Ana's sort of playing dojo here, uncontested, and I'm powered up, I can go the furthest and infiltrate over here. It's an interesting sort of thing. It's a little duality of man, I guess. And this map wasn't particularly great. There wasn't a lot because their team comp just messed with us, the Torb and the Ashe, a bit too well. So that sort of, hopefully that helps a little bit. Breaking down some of the plays that I do as a main support, and I have to learn main support off of being a flex support, so it's kind of crazy, but it gives me a lot of new perspective, which is something that's invaluable in Overwatch. The only reason that I know where to put myself at what times, or that I have an idea of, is because I've played both positions. So I play flex support, I know when I want healing, and I know when to try and expect like peel, when to call for peel, when to expect flanks and stuff like that, and I know how to try and prevent that on the main supports and things like that. So again, perspective is everything. Information is everything. So all on my own while I'm checking for these things, I'm calling out enemies who could potentially die. And I don't do it a lot because, well, it's not really it's not terribly my job. It's the people who are brawling and in the fight and stuff like that. It's their job to do those things. This is also something, so we see the Sigma alone, we see that everybody else is stairs, so we try to speed engage, 3, 2, 1, go. So we engage with speed on him, I get splashed unfortunately. Our Ana is all the way back here. So now we're sort of caught out without a Lucio, that made me sad. I took that damage anyway. They took it. Sig there. I took an Ash bullet, and because I was amping speed, I didn't switch to health at all. So, unlucky. So yeah, it's a lot of having sort of, not having the awareness, building the awareness. So always keep your team talking is my best advice that I can give as a main support. Always contribute to the discussion. Where are we going? What ults are we going to use? What do we think they have? So ult tracking and stuff like that. Watching in the mid fight for flanks, things like that on your off support, stuff like that. Knowing when to help your front line or help your back line. These are all really key pillars of decent main supports, or of at least the ones who stand out, I guess. And it's something that I continue to study, which is super exciting. So if I have any more information, I will definitely create a new video or edit this one or something like that. Man, this was such a fun match just because I felt like I did good. I was aware, tracked my ults, I did my thing. I was aware, which is good. And you can achieve awareness again by asking yourself these questions, asking your team these questions, and keeping everybody informed. So doing a lot of the little things, like scouting, a little bit of ult tracking if you feel that you're close to a combo or something like that, asking what we'll use, and I do this for my team a lot because Topaz is having PC issues right now, so I do it in his stead, sort of. But other people can make this job a million times easier. Because calling everything is really hard. Calling everything and playing the game at least. But it's being able to take advantage of these opportunities really quickly that makes you who you are. It sort of defines your playstyle. In any case, that's all I have, so thanks again for watching. Really glad to be able to discuss this. If you have any questions, of course, you know you can hit me up. Let me know. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.